Good morning and welcome to another segment of Build Your Best Life with Deborah D. Smith. In my last segment, I talked about work ethics. And at that time, I told you that there was a lot of meat around work ethics. Now, since I posted the video on work ethics, inquiring minds want to know a little bit more. So this week I'm going to go into a little deep dive into work ethics and pick it apart. So what I want to start out with this morning is talking about when I talked about on the last segment, I talked about being timely, showing up for work on time, being there. If you're supposed to be there at 8, you need to be ready to work at 8. And if you get off at 4:30 or 5:30, you're not sitting there waiting for the clock to reach 4:30 or 5 so you can punch out or leave. But you want to work up until that time. Well, the question comes up, why is that so important? Why do I have to be there exactly at 8 o'clock? And why do I have to work right up until the last minute? I can produce more work than the person that sits next to me. Or I don't take breaks or what have you. There's a lot that goes into the whole work environment and getting down to the work that you produce, and you have a job description. So what does it take to get your job done? How long does it take to get a certain portion of that work done, and then the complete work assignment, and then how many people are needed to get it done. So you have man hours. So it's important when companies are building budgets that they know how many man hours are needed for a particular job. And it's not just if someone makes $20 an hour, that's all that they cost the company. It goes down into how much their cubicle costs, their supplies, benefits, and all this type of stuff. So it comes down to a lot of information. And one thing is, it's important, you want to make a good salary. So if there is a lot of fudge and you have to have 5 people doing a job, because actually it's not 5 people working 8 hours a day, it's 5 people, but they're only putting in, one of them is putting in 4 hours a day actually, one is putting in 5, and the others are putting in 8. So it's not a true picture. So that way at the end of the year, you're dealing with budget, and oh, do we need more people? Do we need to cut positions? So it can snowball into something that's very, very large. But you want to make sure that you're doing the best job that you can do. And when they look at people for promotions, and most importantly, when they start looking at cutbacks, they're going to be, guess what they're going to be looking at? They're not going to get the best performers and get rid of them. What are they going to get? The poorest performers, those we have problems with, that have attitudes, those that are not professional, those that we can't depend on. So it's important for you to show up on time. Make sure you're putting in your 8 hours of work and getting the job done. All those other things I said, which I'll get into in other segments, but really the time I'm putting into my job. I'm not trying to make my peers think, oh, you know, we buddies, so if you slack off, I'm going to slack off. You go downstairs and stand in line for 15 minutes. We don't get breaks. We just get an hour for lunch, so we don't get breaks. But we're going to go downstairs. We're going to stand in line for 15 minutes and get our breakfast or afternoon snack, and we're going to take it back up to our desk, and we're going to eat it. So I didn't even take a break. And then for my lunch, I only took 50 minutes. Now, did you actually? What about the 15 minutes you were downstairs? The length of time it took you to get downstairs. The length of time, because you don't really multitask. Something I learned in my Toastmasters class, that the light really came on is we don't multitask. We say we're multitasking, but we're not really concentrating on two things. We're really alternating because you can't really functionally do two complete tasks at the same time. So while you're eating, you're not really spending 100% of your time on that job that you're supposed to be doing. And I know you're young, this might be your first job, you don't really want to hear that, but it all comes to play into what kind of employee you want to be. So if you want to be an employee that has good work ethics, then each segment, a tidbit of what comes together to have good work ethics, you want to be doing that. And one of them is you show up on time and you leave after a complete day's work is because you want to put in the number of hours that you are getting paid for to produce the quality and the quantity of work that you're supposed to be doing. So this is a little deep dive into why being on time, being in place when you're supposed to be is important as you formulate good work ethics. In another segment this week, I will talk about another portion of good work ethics. And then finally on Friday, finish up with another important aspect of what you need to do to have good work ethics. And why are we doing this? This might not be the most exciting conversation, but we are trying to do what? Build your best life now. So in order to do that, if you have a job, it may not be your ideal job, but you want to be the best you can be while you're performing that job so that you can be recommended or people can see a path, a history of what type of employee you are, and that's a good employee because what you're building your best life now. Thank you, and I look forward to you tuning in for the next segment of an aspect of work ethics. Thank you, and have a great day.